Hello YouTubers. Well, we got a viewer request video coming right up. Hello YouTubers. The other day I was sitting down to the computer and I received a message from a chap by the name of John Seeley from North Carolina. John is a regular viewer of ours, and he asked me if I would be willing to do a video for him. One that probably hasn't been addressed, or at least that I know of, with regard to these tractors. And at first I said, no, I don't think I'm going to do that, you know, thinking to myself. But John really put forth a really good argument when it came to the reasons why he would like to see the video. So, taking all of his arguments into consideration and the way he put it, I said, yeah, why not? There's no harm done by doing one. There might be some things in it that we can all learn, and maybe there's going to be things in it that I could learn from your comments and whatnot. So anyway, basically what the video is going to be about is on greasing your tractor. I get a lot of people, not only John Seeley, but I get a lot of people asking me, how do you keep your tractor so clean? Well, I grew up in a heavy equipment environment. I had thousands of hours operating big equipment. And I've seen some good operators, and I've seen some bad operators, and I've seen some mediocre operators. And personally, I think a good operator is not only one who can actually handle the piece of equipment, but also look after the piece of equipment. This stuff is expensive. And the more you look after it, the longer it will last and the better it will treat you. So, greasing is actually a major part of looking after that piece of equipment. When it comes to greasing equipment, I've seen people use a full tube on a BX. We've had them in here, they were more black with grease than they were orange. Really think that's overkill. But anyway, what we're going to do here now, or what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go over and I'm going to show you what I use for equipment and show you how to get out of a few little bad situations if you do get greasing and you can't get the grease in or whatnot. So let's head on over to the bench and have a look. So as you can see by the bench, there's a few things involved with greasing a piece of equipment, such as your BX. Don't be scared. It's not that complicated for anybody who hasn't done it before, or even actually who's thinking about buying a piece of equipment. It's nice to know what you're in for and what you should be prepared for. It's probably one of the easiest, but one of the dirtiest things that you'll do to your machine. So I'm going to get the camera there now, and I'm going to come over and I'm going to show you a close-up of what's going on and what these things are all about. Okay, as you can see, there's a few things there on the bench that you're going to need, or I think you should have. The number one most important thing to own, other than having the machine itself, is its manuals. This particular copy is from Kubota themselves. It's the proper booklet for it. Don't mind this one because that's for the 5740. You got the workshop manual here, and you have the parts manual right in under it. Illustrated parts list. So, which is very, very handy to have. So if you're ever needing to order parts, you can also see if they're available and give the people at the dealership the part number, make their life a little bit easier as well. That way there's no mix-up on, you know, if it's the right part or not. So the other thing is, I can move my notes. With regards to the grease itself, Kubota recommends EP type grease. That's a Moly EP type grease. This here is Kubota's grease. The part number is 70000-10401. Now, this is bought right from Kubota. It's a nice grease. It's what they recommend, obviously. But what I like about it is this. its color. Isn't that cool? So when you put this on your tractor and you do make a little bit of a mess, it's not so obvious because of its color. I really think that was brilliant what they did in manufacturing this grease. You put black grease on a tractor, and an orange tractor kind of looks like crap. Now in the meantime, I have used other types of grease, and you'll see residue of it on the tractor there now when I show it to you. But this is a good grease. What types of grease guns, or what type of grease gun do you use? Well, personally, folks, I use the Milwaukee M18. I'm not giving them a plug, but what I do like about it, say for instance you have a lot of grease zerks that you want to grease, this is a great gun. What I also like about it, it's got a real long whip on it to get into hard places. It's got a light on it that you can turn on and off, and it's got a dial on it where you can dial in how many shots of grease you put in each grease zerk, which is fantastic. The battery lasts a long time greasing it up, so won't get too much into the gun, but that's I use this quite a lot. Do I use it all the time? Definitely not. If I only got a few grease zerks to grease, I'll just take the regular handgun and go right to it because it's a lot easier and a lot faster. What do I not like about battery operated guns? Well, I'll tell you what I don't like about battery operated guns is you don't get the feel for what's going in grease. Like if this is empty, you hit that button and you're still getting grease. You're still hearing the pump going, but you don't know if there's grease coming out. If you got a hand pump and you're pumping grease and you don't know what's going in, well, you'll feel it. You'll feel a little bit of resistance on the grease gun itself. So I'm kind of old school like that. I kind of like the old-fashioned stuff, the old manual operated gun. But this lets you free up a hand. You can get in there pretty good, and you can get the job done relatively comfortable because of the long lead and the convenience of having something pump it for you. And the other thing, what I like about this is this particular gun has a different type of fitting on it. This is made by Univerco, this particular one, and I'll show you how this works. If I can get a grease fitting out of this. This is a really neat system. I'm going to try to do this now with the biggest one I got because it's kind of going to be hard to hold on to it. So it's like a ear hose fitting, except you don't have to pull anything back. What you do is you basically, oh, hang on now. I don't know. I'm going to have to get a pair of vice grips here, folks, and hold on to that because there's not much there to hold on to. And we shall see if I can give you a good demo of that particular fitting. Kind of trying to do this quickly. So you take it and you put it on like that. You just push it, and okay, like that. Now it's on there. You put it on, push it on like that, and it's on. You don't have to worry about it. It won't slip off. I think I had it up to 2,000 pounds. No, I think I had it up to 8,000 pounds on a gauge one time when we were doing a demo for the company. And it's just a fantastic fitting. Like that. Been a while since I used this one. Quick as that. Now, there's another type that's out there, and Lock and Lube is the name of it. I've had a Lock and Lube here, and for the most part, it's also a great fitting, but it's a really big unit. And I just found I was only using it half the time on the tractor. And because it was just too big to get in anywhere. Now, for a fitting that's out in the open, the Lock and Lube was fantastic. It was fast. It had a lever on it and way to go. But this was the one that I really liked the best. Once you locked it on, it stayed on. There was no trouble with it at all. So that's my opinion of that. So let me put this back in here. And I'll show you something else. These are fittings, as you know. These are metric, It's always nice to have extra ones. Got a full kit of those. And of course these are getting down because they're used on everything. And these are just the standard ones that we use on different vehicles and whatnot. So it's nice to have those around as well. A lot of times when you're greasing a grease zerk and it won't take the grease, you can use a tool like this. This is a pretty neat tool. I like this tool. It's worked quite well. Let me get that grease fitting out again. And what happens is, I wouldn't use it so much on this type, but I would use it most definitely on a straight type of fitting, or grease zerk, such as that. Because how it works, say for instance you can't get any grease in your pin through your zerk, you take this tool and you put this on the zerk like that. I gotta try to picture this. And of course, with one hand you hold on to this, and you pull this up and you hit this with the hammer. And the pressure from it will drive it out. Sometimes I'll even put grease in this itself, and the grease will dislodge any dirt that's in the zerk. If you don't get it in there now, in there then, well, the next thing you have to do is just change the zerk and see if you can get it in after that. If you can't get it in after that, well, then you got to pull the pin. Kubota recommends greasing all the zerks at 10 hours, and I kind of do that religiously. At 10 hours, I grease them. Kubota states in their manual that you should grease them until you see the grease oozing out. I don't do that. I give them a couple of shots, 3 at the most, and I move on to the next fitting. Because if you keep greasing it till it's oozing out, well, then you're going to end up with a situation where you got grease everywhere on your machine, and then you'll have to get into cleaning it. I've had to clean them. There's do's and don'ts when it comes to cleaning tractors, especially open station ones. You don't use a pressure washer, because what you do is you blow the excess grease all over the seat, and even on a cab the windshield gets full of grease and you've got a bigger mess than what you started off with. So keep that in mind. What I like to do is, after each grease period, I like to take a rag and I like to go around and wipe up the excess grease. I find that's under control then, and it's well taken care of, and you don't have a mess to contend with. Now, there's other things that you can have to help yourself when you're greasing. And this is a kit that I picked up from Princess Auto. I think it's less than 30 bucks. You guys in the US will probably get it a lot cheaper. And this particular kit, it's pretty well got everything in it that you're ever going to need to grease anything. And I haven't used it a lot, but there were situations where I did need to use it. And again, this is where I kind of like the Univerco fitting over the lock and lube, because the lock and lube wouldn't work here in this situation. So I can just put it on like that, lock it on, and then I got a whole new type of fitting. And of course it's not intrusive, it's not in the way, and I kind of like that. So that's a kit, like I say, Princess Auto got it. Probably Northern Tools or somewhere like that in the US will have them as well. For those who are looking at this from Princess Auto, there's the kit number. It's 8415-275. Great kit. Back to the manual. The manual is going to show you each area that should be greased. So again, it's essential that you have the manual, no matter what you're doing with your tractor. Go by the manual, you're going to do it right. Tractor, and have a look around. So yes, you can see some grease, but not overly greased. You can see in here, areas like that you will see some, but you're not going to see much. So it's important to keep it clean. The backhoe portion, again, you're not going to see piles of grease piled everywhere. And of course, that's the idea here, is to keep it maintained, But keeping it maintained also means keeping it clean. It's always nice to get on a clean machine and go to work. You got a better frame of mind when you're using it. And yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. With regards to greasing it, I would stick to the recommendations of every 10 hours. There's some places on the machine that you can forget about. And under here, let me see if I can do this with one hand. There's a little flap. Down under that flap on the BX, there's a grease nipple there, and that's for your treadle pedal. And it's important to keep that greased. You can over grease that one too, I guess, if you wanted to, because no one's going to see the mess. Also, you can also check your fluid in the front differentials and stuff. But you know, when it comes to greasing, 10 hours is good enough. Front differential usually don't give much trouble. You usually don't have to top it up. It's very easy to check because it's a dipstick there. But you know, just keep, while you're greasing it, you'll get familiar with your machine, and you'll also see other things what you're doing while you're doing it, such as if you see a bit of rust or corrosion underneath, you can also use a bit of fluid film, just spray on it, and to stop the rusting. You know, little things like that keeps your machine looking fresh. This machine here has got, oh my gosh, I forget now how many hours. Let me turn the key and see what's on it. Let me see. So it's got 158. Now anybody who's been watching our videos will tell you that these 158 hours were working hours. Because this machine is not used for snow clearing. This machine is basically used in the summer for our back property work. Man, I don't know how many tandem loads of Class A and topsoil and crushed stone that this thing personally moved. It's an unbelievable piece of equipment. I call it the Swiss Army knife of tractors. So, you know, you look after it, should last you an awful long time. So there you have it, folks. That's the video on greasing. Thank you to John Seeley of North Carolina for suggesting it. I hope it's helped some people out. I hope it's helped everybody, to be honest with you. A few little things there that I mentioned maybe you haven't seen or heard of before, so let's see what happens. Like I say, with that grease tool for for freeing up the grease zerk, just pack that with a bit of grease, and when you nail it, way to go. Other than that, the rest is pretty well self-explanatory. Don't worry about the fancy guns, just get yourself a regular grease gun. Use the proper grease. Kubota knows what's best for their equipment, and should last you a long time. I apologize for the people who already know this stuff, but this is not aimed at you. This is aimed at the people who are just new into the tractor. Well, I would say hobby, but it's not even a hobby anymore. Man, more people got tractors now than I think they do have cars. They are a perfect tool to have around the shop. I mean, since we've bought this, I've taken a terrible disliking to picks and shovels. I don't use a pick and shovel anymore. I don't use a wheelbarrow anymore. The BX does it all. When the wife says go dig a hole, not a problem. Won't get no argument from me. Any excuse to use a tractor. So there you have it, folks. Hope you enjoyed this little video, and we'll see you in the next one. So you guys take care. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks to the subscribers that signed up, and for the ones that's already been here. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care, and God bless.